So I'm gonna.
Good evening. Today's August 25th. The time is 6:32 p.m. and this is a regular scheduled meeting of the City of Rockport Council. This meeting will be held using the video conferencing application Zoom. No in-person meeting will be conducted at the Rockport Service Center. A temporary suspension of the Open Meetings Act to allow telephone or video conference public meetings has been granted by Governor Abbott. These actions are being taken to mitigate the spread of COVID-19 by avoiding meetings that bring people into a group setting in accordance with Section 418.016 of the Texas Code. Video conferencing capabilities will be utilized to allow individuals to address the City Council. Members of the public can participate in the meeting remotely via Zoom. There is a link on the city website. I'd like to take a roll call. See which council members are present. Ward 1. Ward 1. Ward 2. Ward 2.
Hold on one moment, sir. We're trying to unmute them.
Aye. Ward 3.
Aye.
Ward 4.
Aye.
So we have representation from Ward 2, 3, 4, and the mayor. I recognize we have a quorum and we'll call the meeting to order. Please rise as Council Member Cunningham leads the Pledge of Allegiance. Unmute it.
Try again.
There you go.
Unmute.
Just one of you, mute or unmute. Okay, don't touch about. Oh, don't touch about. Take them off again.
I don't know what it's doing. I'm in.
He's muting behind you.
Unmute, so I'm
There,
unmuted.
you're good now. Just don't.
I'm unmuted.
You're good. Go.
Don't touch it over there. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You got through that. Before we get started, I'd like to take a couple of seconds and remember that this time 3 years ago, Harvey was just approaching the barrier islands, and we were under already hurricane force winds. We were under those winds for 11 and a half hours, and we've come a very, very long way. We've made terrific progress. We were very blessed that we had no death directly from the storm. But right now we've got Laura threatening our neighbors to the north in southeastern Texas and Louisiana. And I'd like to just, I'd like for them to know that we're praying for them. And we know what it's like, and we'll do anything we can to help them. I believe that Mayor Pro Tem Villa wanted to say something also. You can unmute him. Mr. Villa, are you there?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, same. Just wanted to echo that, yes, everybody's in our prayers, and obviously we're on our 3rd year anniversary, and I know a lot of people, I've been seeing a lot of things on Facebook today, especially we're about, I don't know, a little over 24 hours for Laura hitting up in the Texas and Louisiana border. So yes, they were all in our prayers. That's all I got.
Thank you. Moving on to agenda item number 3. Presentation. Promotion of Officer Nathaniel Ward to the rank position of detective within the Rockport Police Department. I believe you want to handle this?
positions in the police department of higher rank, and the rank structure, up above patrol officer. And we had a couple of openings for detective, and it's a competitive process. And in that process, patrol officer Nathaniel Ward was chosen number one, again, a competitive process, being promoted to the rank of detective. It's been effective for a little while. We had some logistical issues with the coronavirus, with the hurricane, everything that sort of befalls us. And so finally we've gotten to be able to make this possible. So if I could get Officer Nathaniel Ward to come up with me real quick, we'll do this part of it. And so with that, he promotes to the rank of detective, and we'll move into our criminal investigation position and begin doing the follow-up investigations that when patrol officers take a report, take a call, write a report on a crime, and that report forwards to the police department, and then he'll get a hold of that, do the follow-up investigation, and file those criminal charges with the district attorney's office. So congratulations. I think you're going to get it centered in that. There you go. Congratulations. And then ceremoniously, there you go. It's a big part. It's a sort of a family affair, and there's a lot of sacrifice. He's now on call, and so symbolic of that, his spouse will come up and pin his new badge on his uniform shirt.
Don't stick him with it now.
Yeah, direct pressure on them.
Congratulations, Detective. I'm also going to read something here about Detective Ward. Detective Nathaniel Ward has worked for the Rockport Police Department April 14, 2016. During his time with the RPD, he has served as a patrol officer and has completed SWAT school, sniper school, international police mountain biking school, instructor school, and field training officer school. Detective Ward holds an intermediate police officer license from the Texas Commission on Law Enforcement and is working towards a bachelor's degree in business administration. Prior to employment with the department, Detective Ward served as an infantryman for 8 years in the Army National Guard and deployed to multiple countries. Detective Ward transitioned to the Air Force in 2011 and served as an aircraft mechanic on F-16 fighter aircraft until attending the Alamo Area Council of Governments Police Academy in 2015. Detective Ward now serves in a part-time function with the Air National Guard at Joint Base San Antonio, Lackland, and as an aircraft mechanic. Detective Ward is present this evening with his wife, Cheryl. I thank you for your service and your commitment to not only our country, but also to the city of Rockport. We really, really appreciate what you do for us, Nathaniel. Take care of him, Cheryl. Item number 4, presentation, Spirit of Rockport Award, Rockport Volunteer Fire Department. Anybody want to take this, sir? Let's go back over the background of the Spirit of Rockport Award. It was developed to recognize individuals and organizations who exemplify the unique spirit of Rockport. Nominees are those who go above and beyond to make our community a better place. Nominations are reviewed by the Sesquicentennial Committee, with awards presented throughout the year at City Council meetings and other events. Each recipient will receive a limited edition commemorative medal that was designed specifically for the Sesquicentennial. Tonight's award goes to the Rockport Volunteer Fire Department. As their name implies, this is an all-volunteer organization. Since 1885, Rockport Volunteer Fire Department has dedicated itself to saving lives and protecting property. Per their mission statement, they are committed to providing for our citizens the best possible service in a courteous, professional, and cost-effective manner, to assure that every person who contacts the fire department receives satisfaction to the best of our ability. They They achieve this continuous education, training, and community involvement while maintaining the safest working environment possible. And I believe Chief Steve Sims, you want to come forward, please, sir? Under the auspices of Fire Chief Steve Sims, Assistant Fire Chief Matthew Grimes, and Captains Aaron Guerrero, Jillian Cox, Joe Carvajal, and John Carvajal, the 65 firefighters and members of the Fire Corps, if you face that way, they can see you, provide a vital service to our community, which not only save lives and property, but also decrease the cost of homeowner and rental insurance for our residents. We encourage residents to support and become involved in this incredible organization. Because of the number of honorees in the pandemic, we will not be distributing the medals in person. They will be delivered to the fire department for distribution at the weekly Thursday meetings. The City of Rockport is accepting additional nominations for the Spirit of Rockport Award, and presentations will be made at future council meetings. Chief, thank you so much for your dedication. Your team is terrific. I know they go through a lot, especially in right now we're in the shank of the summer, so
Yes.
you guys really enjoy it out there,
Yeah.
fighting the heat and the fire.
2 of them at one time.
Yes, sir. But we really appreciate that you've been safe, and I think we have the medals here. You want to bring them up? These are for you to give out on Thursday at your meeting.
All right.
There's an individual pack for every one of your firefighters.
Yeah, Hurricane Harvey downsized our department somewhat, but we have built back up,
Well, good.
back to where we were at before Harvey. So
That's
some
terrific.
new members, young people coming in.
Excellent.
They'll all appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Item number 5, presentation. Items from 19th Sesquicentennial Time Capsule. I believe Mr. Caruth or Ms. Henry, you have this.
Yes, Mayor and council members. This is our 6th presentation of time capsule items, and from 1970. And tonight's information shows you some certificates of shares that they sold in advance. So people in advance were getting involved to help finance the time capsule and the other things going on at the time. Excuse me, not the time capsule, but the 100-year celebration. Additionally, the proclamations, charter, and certificates of the Centennial Bells and Jolly Rogers. They look like a lot of fun. The Jolly Rogers, they had to spell special haircuts or beards and things of that nature, so it was a lot of fun. And of course, the Sentinel Bells had to wear their hair a certain way or no makeup and certain dress attire. So it looked like it was a lot of fun, and wish we could have done a little bit more this year, but COVID did hit. So we're doing the best we can and enjoying what they were able to do 50 years ago. Well, we have some more in 2 weeks.
Good. I know that 5 years ago, we set up a sinking fund. We were establishing committees. At the time, Mayor Wax was looking to do a huge party for the city of Rockport and all of our local, of course, all our neighbors, all entities would be invited. But COVID just kind of changed things, so maybe we can find something else to celebrate. It may be the end of COVID. I keep looking for some pictures of people that we may know in there. I thought I saw Mike Probst. No.
We do have some pictures, some photos for some future presentations.
Okay. Yeah. But some of the names that you look at, I believe some of their offspring are now prominent in the community, because I recognize some names, some family names in these lists. Charters were distributed throughout the community. There's people from, they're right there, Rockport, Fulton. So it was a big celebration. If you haven't gone on the website, you can listen to the audio of of one of the presentations. That's been very interesting.
one, you've got Gary Howard, former patrol commander, and his dad, who was manager of HEB down here.
I think Mr. Villa had his hand up.
I was just going to say, Google Cole's name is on there.
Okay. Yeah, there's Gary Howard right there. Ben Howard. Is that all of them there? The Woolly Bullies chapter. There's a Brundrette.
So again, these are all available on the website, and if somebody wants to take a look in person, they can give Kimberly a call.
I believe Vicky's putting them on the historical page too.
And those are the Harry Range Riders. Interesting names back in 1970. Peninsula Pirates, the Lamar Fire Department. Is that it? Okay. Moving on, agenda item number 6. Citizens to be heard.
Oh,
At this time, written comments received by 4 p.m. on the day of the meeting
This is
on
me.
any subject that is not on the agenda will be read by the mayor and entered into the minutes of the meeting. Persons wishing to address the council who have registered using the citizen participation form will have up to 3 minutes to speak. In accordance with the Open Meetings Act, council may not discuss or take action on any item that has not been posted on the agenda. While civil public criticism is not prohibited, disorderly conduct or disturbance of peace as prohibited by law shall be cause for the chair to terminate the offender's time to speak. Now, I've got a couple of different forms here, and I don't know if Dave Foster is on the meeting. He wanted me to read this in. I don't know if he joined the meeting or not.
I don't see that name.
Okay. This is the citizen to be heard. It's on the bond issuance. Mayor Rios and council members, we are talking a total tax increase of $3 a year, folks. Please read on. In the minutes of the July 23rd council meeting, financial advisor to the city, Bob Henderson, explained, over the past several years, the city has been able to pay down outstanding debt, resulting in a decrease in the interest and sinking INS tax rate. And this decrease in tax rate resulting expected in fiscal year 2021 provides an opportunity to issue approximately $20 million in certificates of obligation bonds, COs, in the late summer of 2020, with minimal impact on the city's INS tax rates. Mr. Henderson went on to present that fiscal year 2019 through 2020 tax rate is approximately 0.1720, and the proposed CO issuance will increase the tax rate approximately 0.012 to approximately 0.185, substantially lower than in the previous fiscal year. Neighbors, let's put this into context. For residents with a tax roll value of $250,000, that's a $3.07 annual increase in taxes per year. $3. Let's let that sink in. Isn't it worth $3 a year to help our city build a new city hall to take us into the future? Isn't it worth $3 a year to have a great facility for our youth to house events and keep them safe? Isn't it worth $3 a year to support our police with needed equipment? Isn't it worth $3 a year to help secure the right-of-way for utilities to build a new Key Allegro bridge for the safety of our residents? Isn't it worth $3 a year to have better storm drainage and street repairs? Let's let our elected officials do their job. They've done it responsibly in our best interest for years. Derailing this bond issuance will hurt our city and our residents. I strongly support the City of Rockport in its efforts to responsibly raise funds needed through the bond issuance process. Thank you. Dave Foster. I have another one from Kathy Snyder. I don't know if she's on. Asked to have this. Says, I support our city officials and the bond which will enable Rockport to build a much-needed courthouse and city hall, as well as allow the city to move forward with the Keel Agro Bridge in an area of tremendous concern for public safety. Please have this note read in the City Council meeting records on 2. Thank you so much, Kathy Snyder, 7 Pelican Drive, Rockport, Texas. I have another participation form from Mr. George Rikers, 802 East Market, Rockport. I don't know if he's on. I believe he wanted this read in also. Dear Mayor and council members, South Rockport Neighbors Board of Directors met and voted unanimously to have zoning in South Rockport remain the same as it is. Only several years ago, we worked with Mayor Todd Pearson to have changed from hotel motel to residential. Since then, the growth in residential homes has been amazing. There is no definition for mixed-use zoning. Sounds like anything goes. We don't want a can recycle business opening next to across the street from us, or a game room either. Please leave our zoning alone. If a tea room or bed and breakfast or anything else wants to open, let them apply for a special use permit. We are happy with our current zoning. Thank you. Jim Godfrey,
Hey, hold on, baby.
Sharon Smith, Vice President, Beth Smith, Secretary, George Rikers, Treasurer, Reba Kendall, Director, Maureen Winkleman, Director, Pitma Meza, Director, and Raymond Appel, Director. I have one other form, but it's on agenda item 19, so we'll I believe this individual is, well, we'll address this when we get to agenda item 19. Moving on to the consent agenda.
Oh, go ahead, baby.
All consent agenda items listed are considered to be routine by the City Council and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a council member so requests, in which event the item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered in its normal sequence on the agenda. Council, does anyone want to remove anything? I'll take roll call. Ward 1, I believe he's there.
I'm trying to get them unmuted, sir.
Okay.
I have to unmute them each time they mute themselves.
Ward 2,
I have nothing.
And Mike Sasky is here.
is he there?
Yeah.
Okay, let's go back to Ward 1.
There he is.
Aye.
So, you wish to remove anything from the consent agenda?
No.
Okay, thank you. Ward 3, find Mr. Cunningham.
No, is it possible to leave the council members unmuted? This is our meeting. So really want to be at the behest of unmuting each time where
I don't believe that's possible with,
We can. We muted everybody in the past because there have been problems with ambient noise from multiple mics, but we can, as long as people don't have noise in the background, we
okay.
can I mute myself at my own discretion then?
Sure, that would help. If we unmute you, then if each member would mute and unmute as they want, that would save a lot of time and get us moving.
That's my normal practice. Thank you.
Okay.
Nothing to take off the consent agenda.
Nothing to take off the agenda. And Ward 4?
No, I do not.
I don't either. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
I have a motion by Ms. Hatman and a second by Mr. Villa. And looking for a second, Ms. Hatman.
I'll second.
further discussion? All in favor? Ward 1.
Aye.
Ward 2.
Aye.
Ward 3.
Aye.
Ward 4.
Aye.
Mayor, aye. Thank you. Item number 12. We will conduct a public hearing on the extension of a moratorium on the submission, acceptance, processing, and approval necessary to the creation of development plats and construction of facilities related to recreational vehicle parks for land within the city of Rockport. The time is 6:58. The public hearing is open. Anyone with comment on the moratorium extension? Is anyone out on the Zoom meeting? If they will go to the bottom of the screen and raise their hand, we'll recognize them. And to do that, you click on the bottom of the screen, you'll see a function where you can raise your hand or comment. We'll give it a few minutes here to see if anybody would like to comment. One more call for comments on the public hearing on the extension of our moratorium for RV parks. Okay, last call for comments. Hearing none, the time is 7 p.m. Public hearing is closed. Moving on to the regular agenda. Item number 13. Deliberate and act on first reading of an ordinance extending a moratorium for 120 days on the submission, acceptance, processing, and approval necessary for the creation of development plats, construction, or facilities related to recreational vehicle, RV parks, or manufactured housing parks for land within the city of Rockport, providing a savings clause, providing a severability clause, finding and determining that the meetings at which the ordinance was passed were open to the public as required by law, and providing an effective date. This is an extension of a moratorium we've had in place. I believe this is the 5th or 6th extension. Somewhere around four, I'm sorry. We've had, between this and the extension of all the disaster declarations, I lose count. But pending adoption of the comprehensive master plan, we want to put this on hold until we get final input from the public and deliberate and act on the master plan. So you'll think we'll have something done before the 120 days. Okay. Council questions, comments?
With respect to the comprehensive plan, and as you know, I'm a big proponent that we should give the public plenty of opportunity to read it and comment. So I'm not arguing that, we should not give the moratorium in consideration of the master plan. But I don't see anywhere on the master plan where it actually addresses RV parks. We look at the future land use map, which is what we would be guided by. There there isn't any category for RVs, so I'm not sure what the hang-up is that dovetails with the comprehensive plan.
There is a section of the comprehensive plan that does address RV and other areas of our community. We're looking at it, it's a draft ordinance.
Okay, it's not as part of the land use map?
It's not exclusively tied to the land use map, but yeah, we'll pop up the land use map in another section here, but it is not exclusively tied to the land use.
Okay, thank you.
And again, this goes back to after Harvey, we were inundated with developer, RV park and manufactured home developer after developer that we're going to put it on every street corner within the city and county. And we had to wait because without any moratorium, with the ability to stop all that, we'd have been covered up. So, any more comments, questions? If so, I'll entertain a motion.
So move.
Second. I have a motion from Mayor Pro Tem Villa, a second from Mr. Saski. Any further comment? All in favor? Ward 1.
Aye.
Ward 2.
Aye.
Ward 3.
Aye.
Ward 4. Ward 4.
Okay, sorry.
And Mayor, aye. Thank you. Item 14, deliberate and act on an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Rockport, Texas, extending a declaration of local disaster, Hurricane Hannah, for the period August 25th through September 22nd, 2020, establishing rules and regulations for the duration of the disaster, restricting certain activities, and establishing penalties for violations. This goes back to making sure that any expenses that the city incurs due to Hurricane Hannah will be reimbursable. We have to have our disaster declaration in place. We've done this several times before. Council, any questions or comments?
No. No.
Okay.
So moved.
Second. I have a motion from Mr. Cunningham, a second from Mr. Saski. Any further discussion? All in favor? Ward 1.
Aye.
Ward 2.
Aye.
Ward 3.
Aye.
Ward 4.
Aye.
Mayor, aye. Thank you. Item 15, deliberate and act on a resolution authorizing the city manager to prepare, post, and publish for auction the 0.55 acre of land embracing fractional lots 21 and 22, Block 28, Denver Heights, City of Rockport, Aransas County, Texas, according to the plat recorded in Volume 1, page 9, Plat Records of Aransas County, Texas, also known as 1628 Alejandro Street. Don't know who's got this one?
I've got it.
Okay, Mr. Ruth.
We've been approached by an adjoining property owner to purchase this remnant piece of property. You can see there's outlined in blue. When Enterprise was put in, this, if you were to take those two 58096 and 17407 that went across going west. Well, the road went in, and the little tiny piece of the east side of those lots remained. Of course, they're not big enough to do anything. It's 0.055 of an acre. So in order to dispose of the property, we can't just give it to somebody. We have to put it up for auction.
Okay.
You can see this is directly across from where the school district administration offices used to be, and right next to where that mobile home burned a couple times last year.
Several times.
And behind the day spa
Right.
place.
Elegantia's spa is right there
Right.
to the right.
So we just need authorization to dispose of the property. Obviously not anything that we're ever going to use again, and not that there's anybody else that want to be joining property owners.
Council, any questions? Comments?
I don't have any. So move.
Have a motion. Motion from Mr. Diaz, second from Mr. Saski. Further discussion? All in favor? Ward 1.
Aye.
Ward 2.
Aye.
Ward 3.
Aye.
Ward 4.
Aye.
And Mayor, aye. Thank you. Item 16, deliberate and act on selection of Region 11 candidate for Texas Municipal League Health Benefits Pool Board of Directors. Council, you, in your packet, had a information on this. You also had some bios on the candidates for the TML Health Benefits Pool Board of Directors. We have, I believe, 3 people that have put their name in contention. Blake Petrish, who's the Mayor Pro Tem, City of Ganado, Rosemary Vega, councilperson from City of Woodsboro, and Mary Gleisner, who's Alderwoman, City of Goliad. I don't know if everyone's read the bios. This portion of the TML Health Benefits Pool is where we get our city insurance for our city employees. I'm very familiar with a lot of people on this board. I serve with them. They belong to the TML board, and I work with a lot of not necessarily all these folks, but I am familiar with them. But as far as the rest of the people on the board, I know. Any comments on the candidates?
Mr. Petrash was originally appointed to fill a vacancy on the board, and at that time there were 3 candidates, himself, Kimberly Henry, and Kevin Carew. So, he's been on there for
Yep.
4 years.
Yep. Mr. Petrash also had put his name in, for those, if you remember last week at our TML virtual meeting, he had tried to be, I think he was first vice president, and he was beat out of that position by Mayor Scuro from Portland. I've met him. They're all good people, but I've known Mr. Petrash more
Been active in TML.
for a long time.
I don't know the other 2, but
The
lady from Goliad, obviously with their medical background, I can see where that might be helpful.
So I don't know if any comments from anybody.
My question really goes to the city manager, since you're the one who deals with the health pool that the city is part of here through TML. I guess my attitude is, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Is it broke? Does it need fixing? Because if it is, Mr. Petrash, who's already on the committee, might need to be replaced. But if it's been working well for us and what we expected, then he deserves to stay on.
I would be fine with voting for Mr. Petrash, returning him to the board.
Yep, I concur. Any other comments? We'll just go by Ward. Ward 1?
Yeah, no comment.
Ward 2?
No comments. I'm fine with it. I mean, this is I'm optimistic that it's hard to doing what we did last week.
Yes.
So
Correct.
is he going to have time for this? Is this going to hinder anything, or?
But he didn't win last week, so he's got time. He's been in this position all along, so it's not anything extra on it.
Okay, I'm getting him confused with the other gentleman.
Right.
It was the second vice. Okay.
Okay. And concurrence with Mr. Petrash? Let's go
Yes.
by, let's take a roll call vote. Ward 1?
Aye.
Oh, I need a motion, I'm sorry, the motion first.
I make a motion that we appoint Mr. Blake Petrash, Mayor Pro Tem of the City of Venado.
Second.
I have a motion for Mr. Diaz, second for Mr. Cunningham. Roll call vote. Ward 1?
Aye.
Ward 2?
Aye.
Ward 3?
Aye.
Ward 4?
Aye.
Mayor, aye. Thank you. Item 17, deliberate and act on selection of Board of Trustee candidates, places 1 through 4 for Texas Municipal League Intergovernmental Risk Pool. Similar exercise, in our packet, we had, I believe, we only had one individual for place 1. That's Mr. Robert Herrera, City Manager of Cibolo, Texas. And in place 2, we had 2, Chris Armacost, who's a City Commissioner for the City of Hitchcock, and Mr. John Buzz Fullen, who's the incumbent. He's the Mayor of Henderson since 2019. And place 3, we have George Hyde, who's the City Attorney for the City of Watauga, Roy E. Maynard, who's the City Alderman, position 3 from the City of West Columbia, and Jeffrey Snyder, the incumbent, City Manager for the City of Plainview. My only comments are that I served with these people. We have, that's all over, right?
No, we have one more.
Oh, I'm sorry, please. Robert Hawk, who's the incumbent, he's the City Manager for the City of Tomball. Dave Martin, City Council Member and current Mayor Pro Tem for the City of Houston. And Kimberly Meisner, Executive Director for General Operations for Kerrville. She oversees human resources. And Sean Overender, City Manager for the City of La Mesa. I have been in meetings with the incumbent. I have no problem with them. The intergovernmental risk pool runs very, very well. It's well managed, well handled, financially very, very stable. And I personally would have no issue returning the incumbent. But I'll go through Ward 1 comments.
I agree. You know, it sounds like they're doing great.
Ward 2.
He's already there.
I agree also because I mean I don't know them personally. I don't know anything about them. Just reading from when they're. It's kind of hard to do this whenever we just have something that we're reading off of. It would have felt better to actually
Right.
listen to something from the candidates themselves. But if you've worked with the incumbent, then I'm fine with that as well, and you're okay with it.
Ward 3.
Well, I have to say I have a soft spot in my heart in place 3 for George Hyde, who's an attorney. And my understanding is that the liability pool is about lawsuits, liability for lawsuits, protecting cities from lawsuits. But I note that Mr. Snyder is the incumbent. He's only been serving for 2 years. Or to this other incumbent here, Mr. Hawk, who's only been on for 1. I have a big turnover. Again, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I'll be happy to go with the incumbents.
Okay. Ward 4.
Fellow councilman here. I mean, it's really hard to base it off of just paperwork. I'm not sure. So I'm giving this to you guys so it's good to go.
Okay, I'm going to, since I've got everything written down here in front of me, I'll make a motion that what we're going to do is we're going to put the names of Robert Herrera, John Buzz Fuller, Jeffrey Snyder, and Robert Hawk on our form return. is a motion.
Second.
A second from Mr. Villa. Any further discussion? Take a roll call vote. Ward 1.
Aye.
Ward 2.
Aye.
Ward 3.
Aye.
Ward 4.
Aye.
Mayor, aye. Item number 18, deliberate and act on proposal by Aransas County to transfer Fulton Beach Road hazard mitigation project to the city of Rockport.
I'm up next, baby.
This project was originated in the long-term recovery team. Was actually part of the Aransas County Resilience Initiative. Back about 2015, we started on looking at shore protection. As funds became available and grants became available after Harvey, this project finally had a funding mechanism. There had been some pre-engineering done on it. The project would start, at least in our area, from basically Trailer and go north within our jurisdiction to about the Lighthouse Hotel, except for that piece of the O'Connor property, that bulkhead that's owned privately. Then it would start over on the other side in Fulton, and then head up towards Contiki, that far. And the project had been out there for months and months and months, and had been set up for public comment. I won't say 11th hour, but late in the game, some residents took a look at the project, and they actually argued against it with the county and the navigation district. They're not happy with the way it was engineered and designed. They were afraid it was going to change the look of the water. They had some barriers that were going to sit out in the bay about 100 yards offshore, and I believe they were supposed to be 4 foot in length or in height. So at times at low tide they'd be sticking out of the water, and it would look. They were also afraid of accretion. In other words, the beach building back up, which would move the fishing now from along Fulton Beach Road. The county had already spent quite a bit of money on this, and they basically got a letter last week, I believe. They sent us a letter where the county has offered the other entities to take over. They've offered it to the navigation district, the city of Rockport, and the town of Fulton. We could only potentially look at what is within our jurisdiction, again, Trailer to the Lighthouse. But if we took over this project, we'd have to start completely over. All the engineering would have to be done again. A new grant administrator would have to be chosen. The match money would have to come from the city, again, for that piece. Likewise with Fulton. And the navigation district was entertaining taking up anything that fell outside of the city limits of the town of Fulton or the city of Rockport. The issue with the navigation district is they don't have the authority to work on the road. The Fulton Beach Road was going to be raised a foot, and then breakwater put along the shoreline, capped with pretty much a walking trail type thing, and then these barriers would be offshore. The grant, I forget how much the grant was, but it was substantial to have this done. At this point, the county doesn't want to pursue it. I did have actually, Kevin and I had a follow-up call with John Strothman earlier this week to confirm what he told me last week. Last week he said if no one picked up this project, that TDEM was willing to put it on the shelf and wait until it could possibly surface again later on. That would take some different engineering and things. But at this point, the county was looking for an answer by September 14th. There's no way we could even, I believe, no way we could even mobilize engineering in time to find out what's involved, or even, we're so taken up with other projects right now just to even investigate this project. Mr. Donahoe, I don't think your team has looked at this at all. Right. And we're seeing that right now, not only on this project, but other extremely important projects. And the opposition is coming from people that have never spent any time in these meetings, the hours and hours, it's probably months worth of meetings that we've attended over the last 3 years, working with our partners to secure this funding and grant. It's a different time.
So this project, with respect to the city, would have been in Ward 3. So I have been following it particularly closely. The county, this particular project only ran from Trailer up to about Heron's Roost. And the county is now abandoning that to the city of Fulton for its portion, the city of Rockport for our portion, which, as you identified, is Trailer to the Lighthouse Inn, where we had no objection. There were no property owners along the street within the city who raised a problem about what the breakwater and the green coastal resiliency aspect would look like down in our portion. But with the county handing it to us with only 30 days, we really don't have the time to break out our portion of the project from the town of Fulton's part of the project. We don't have time to be able to work out an arrangement with the NAB district, who has concerns about how you keep that area between the shore and the breakwater clean and maintained, which would be their responsibility. And we don't have the matching funds because we were not advised early enough to be able to budget for that or include it within our certificate of obligation. My understanding is that the best that can happen at this point is it gets shelved if and when TDM or GLO eventually might have some money available again. We might have an opportunity to dust it off and try again. But in the meantime, it's a project that is sorely needed for Fulton Beach Road. As you saw, the erosion that happened there just because of little Hurricane Hannah, which was not much of a storm. And my understanding is, in fact, that's taken out enough of the roadway alongside Fulton Mansion that already the prospect of being able to put a pedestrian and bikeway alongside the roadway was pretty much compromised or at least at risk. So altogether, it's a very disappointing outcome for a project that was really needed and that the city of Rockport property owners never seemed to have an objection to.
And is what you refer to as that little small storm, Hurricane Hannah, literally destroyed the brand new bulkhead that's out front of the O'Connor property. It's broken in places. There's rebar showing. It's undermining back. It's gone off of smalls.
Which is kind of proof to the principle that Marsh McDonald was presenting to us last December, that the reason this is set up with breakwaters 20 feet out and with a shallow space with cordgrass and other marsh grasses in it is because that will lower the velocity of the waves, and putting up a seawall won't do that. And you can see proof of that in what happened to the O'Connor seawall. I would point out that the county intends to move forward or look into moving forward above the town of Fulton in the stretch between about Heron's Roost to Kontiki and pursue that as a separate project. I think to the tune of about $6.5–7 million potentially. So that may yet reappear up there, but that's not going to do anything for our needs in the city of Rockport.
Correct. Any other comments?
No.
I agree that the fact that it shouldn't have waited this long, and it should, the 11th hour, it's just not the time to do that. There was plenty of time to deal with this, and I agree with Mike says. It just doesn't look good for Aransas County. Period. We're, like you said, 3 years out, and nothing's happening. But with that being said, I'd like to make a motion that we go with staff's recommendation to go ahead and shelve the item and until we have funding.
I'll second.
Motion for Mr. Villa, second for Mr. Saski. Any further discussion? We'll take a vote. Ward 1.
Aye.
Ward 2.
Aye.
Ward 3.
Aye, with great reluctance and sadness.
Ward 4.
I'm with you, Bob. I too.
Mayor, aye. Thank you. Item number 19. Deliberate and act on a request for assistance by Aransas County for an in-kind assistance for the Aransas County Workforce Development and Entrepreneur Center proposal to the Economic Development Administration, Public Works, and Economic Adjustment Program. I do have a citizen participation form for Mr. Jeffrey Hutt. If you could find him.
Hello?
And unmute him. Okay.
Hello?
Yes, sir. If we could get your name and address for
Yes,
the
sir.
record.
Thank you. My name is Jeffrey W. Hutt. I live out in Lamar. What I would like to do is I'd like to speak on this.
Could we get the address?
Oh, 1306 8th Street.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you. I was present at the county meeting where they first started to, they got this passed again for this second time or the third time. And I brought up the fact that within this, within the memo that's given to y'all, it says that ACISD already has signed a MOU with Del Mar. Now, an MOU, as you guys know, is different than a resolution of support. So we're talking about something that's very much kind of a solid, concrete deal. What I'm worried about here is that our community is buying a pig in a poke. This is the second time this grant has come back to us. The first time it was supposed to go out with X amount of dollars and no matching funds, and now it's come back as a lower bid. And the reason it's come back is because, Mrs. Faust explains, the grant application process is more competitive than they thought. So we're talking about grants here. So look at it this way. Aransas County has 2 grants that they're going out for the EDA. They're going out for the Marina grant, and they're going out for this workforce training grant. In Austin and Washington, Aransas County, Rockport has a bad name because we've all gone around saying, woe be us me, after Hurricane Harvey, give us grant money. And I think anybody who's talked with any of our government leaders will agree with this. Michael Cloud jokes about it when it comes to campaign stops here. It's an obvious fact. So you guys are really faced at this point with what you guys got to decide. Do you want to go with this Marina grant? Do you want to go with this Marina district that has been the kind of focus for a lot of years? What are we going to do about the Bass property? What are we going to do about the Marina district? Or do you want to go with this workforce training program that they're now going to have to go out for a JET grant, which is a workforce training grant to make it work. So it's a grant upon a grant. So this is what happens. If the navigation district does not get its grant, the navigation district is going to have to look at making money different ways. The navigation district is going to be forced to look at turning Rockport Harbor into a commercial harbor. I think that's a great idea personally, but I know that the comprehensive plan, I know other things that y'all have looked at. Y'all see Rockport developing around a marina and a harbor. So I'd like you guys, that's what I want to tell you tonight, that you really have a choice. You're going to choose between this workforce training grant and the Marina grant. And it's a real choice. It's not both. You can't have both ways. Thank you. Thank you all very much. Congratulations. Mrs. Hatman, I know this is my first time to say this, but congratulations on being a councilwoman. Good luck to you.
Okay, thank you. Now we have Mr. Jatin Bhakta.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
If you state your name and address for the record, and then we'll start.
Okay, sure. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, council members. My name is Jatin Bhakta. My address is 224 Reserve Lane in Lamar. I am also the chair for the EDC. Just here to kind of address the agenda item number 19. EDC was chartered. We started a committee, exploratory committee, along the path of pursuing this grant. In doing this, we originally looked at the airport property to do a workforce training center. I think initially we looked at 20,000 square feet as a rough number for the square footage that would be required. And so some of the information that kind of has been twisted a little bit, that was a brand new building from the ground up that we were going to develop. That was our take when we talked to EDA that, right now they had some COVID-19 funding, and because of this, we would not be required to do a match. So the application at that point was for almost $6 million without a match for a brand new building. And since then, a lot of things have changed. We've gone back to we looked at other options, other property, other development. But then with the county having the Little Bay Primary as a micro hospital, when that situation changed, I believe it was like early July or late June, when that situation changed, we had an opportunity to take on a piece of property that was existing that wouldn't take that much funds to develop, and so we moved our focus to that. That would entail asking for a lesser amount of money from EDA. So now we went into the application process. We found out from EDA this month that we were going to need a matching fund, and also we needed to drop our budget. So we've done that, and we've come to you to let you know that our application that we're going to submit is for a $2.5 million application with a $500,000 match. The $500,000 match we fundraised in 1 week, and that tells you the amount of support that this community has. There are others that are going to point to this thing and, well, it started at 6, 4.5, 3.5, but it started by incorporating a brand new building. This takes a building off the vacant building list in Rockport, and I think this is a great opportunity to redevelop this site for a workforce center. And we're asking, the county has approved it yesterday, and we're asking the city of Rockport to do an in-kind donation with its services to help us to get this grant. The in-kind, if you just look at this, it will magnify the amount that we can go after, which would be upwards of $75,000 instead of the 20% match.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Bhakta. Next, I have Mr. John Jackson.
Am I muted?
We can hear you. If you can state your name and address for the record, we'll start.
Olympic Drive, Rockport, Texas. I think Jatin covered it pretty well at the very end when he had that alarm go off. He was about to say that I think I saw that the staff was recommending $15,000. The thing to remember about that is the $15,000 match for us translates to a leverage of 80% from EDA. So that would be a $75,000 boost to our budget, which we'd like to do to try to put some more things within this building. But that has all been driven by the EDA not realizing when they put this thing out to begin with how competitive it was going to be. And every time we talked to them, the numbers got tougher. That, in the end, forced us to look at only one of the two buildings in Little Bay. But in close collaboration with Del Mar, they are happy with the fact that we've got that one building because we can always expand to the north. So everybody's in sync with this thing. The county's got about $25,000 in it. ACISD is proposing $17,000. We have a temporary letter of commitment from them. Will be formalized on Thursday night. In addition to that, Delmar themselves has put in another $45,000. So there's $87,000 of governmental entities that have already put money in this. We'd like to have the city of Rockport be one of those as well. So I'll rest there. Oh, let me say one more thing. It doesn't have to be cash. I think we've mentioned in kind, and there's a number of things that the county's doing and the others as well that have to do with materials or labor or waiver on fees or what have you. So I don't think that it's going to necessarily require a cash donation of any kind. Plus, the match will not even become payable until 2021 over a 2-year period. So it's going to be spread out. It's probably going to have very minimal impact on a budget. I yield the rest of my time.
Thank you, Mr. Jackson.
Yes.
Was there anyone else out there?
No, sir.
That's it. Okay. All right. So, I believe we had talked, Mr. Caruth, about a commitment of $15,000 in forced donations, so not cash.
Correct. In-kind labor.
In-kind labor. And I believe, Mr. Donahoe, you've been to the building and took a look at what they were asking for. They were asking for help for interior, tear out of ceiling grid, sheetrock installation, no taping and floating, and possibly waiving permit fees.
And painting.
And painting, that's correct.
Donahue, did you check the building after Hurricane Hannah when there was a big window broken out of the back side that took about 2 weeks to get boarded up?
We walked the buildings and everything has been taken care of, and all of that window did come out with minimal damage, a lot less damage, of course, than they had damage to the apartment. But both buildings are in, I would call, fairly good shape and right for remodeling. They're very clean, all the sheetrock and everything has been taken out halfway up the walls. All the ceiling tiles and insulation has been taken out of the building. Most of the flooring has been taken out of the building. So the building is in a very good condition for remodeling.
Council, any further comments or questions?
I have a comment. This is coming from my public having 2 weeks. I'm in high school right now. Can you hear me? Good? Okay. My comment is, I mean, this building, having a kid in high school and one that's going to be going to college here in a couple of years, I mean, it's something that, and talking to other families around here, it would be something really important for their kids and easier and maybe cost efficient for them to have a better way of education, and so they can get higher paying jobs, or they can, have just, I guess it's, like I said, an easier way of getting to college around here. Are classes that will help them beyond just high school. Also, we have a big retirement committee, and they also like to take classes as well, so I think that'd really be important for them. My one concern is that we were told that it was not going to cost any extra, and now we're being asked the extra cost. Is this going to change in the future, or do we see any other railroads coming in, or is this pretty much it, is my big concern on that.
That's a question for Mr. Bachter and Mr. Jackson.
Yeah. I think, Mr. Bachter, do you want to answer that question, sir?
Yeah, we don't foresee anything from what Delmar has said, that the program that they plan on putting out forward. Like I said, there was a 20,000 square foot building we were looking at before. this is 16,000 square foot. The second building that we have, we're going to kind of grow into. So by us utilizing the north building, I think they've got plenty of space to, you know, in 2 years' time that it's going to take to ramp up that program. I think they've got plenty of space. And also the other thing that Del Mar had added was that a lot of their other construction programs, whether that be plumbers, electricians, or any construction related trades, they usually tend to have courtyard kind of settings, so it's going to be more outdoor. And so that would require classroom space. And so since part of this development, it also includes the 4 lots north of that building, I think they've got plenty of room to expand. And I don't think it's going to entail any more costs on our end, on the part of the city or the county.
Has Del Mar talked about bringing their mobile training facilities in here? I know they've got a lot of self-contained units that they pull all over the area and train out of those. Are they contemplating employing those down here?
Yes, they are. I was in a meeting yesterday where that was discussed, in fact, with Workforce Development Solutions out of Corpus Christi. That's part of the plan as well. There are no additional costs that I know of for the city at all, and even the county is going to be covered pretty well because Del Mar Comic is going to be in charge of all the operational costs. So, in answer to your question, Andrew, I don't think there's going to be an additional cost to the city.
So let me put aside the merits of the project because I don't think anyone argues that it would be a nice thing to have. The question is, whose responsibility is it? Why should the city participate, and if so, how much? I would remind all of the folks who were in the budget workshop that we were told the city is running super lean and is anorexic. We are not adding new personnel on our budget, despite our public works group being so overworked that Parks and Leisure is doing work for them in maintaining space that otherwise would be public works responsibility. My understanding is that $15,000 is essentially 1/3 of a full year salary for a person employed by the city to do this kind of work. So you're talking about 4 months worth of somebody's labor or some group of somebody's labor that's going to be devoted to this project that's not being devoted to a city project because we're already understaffed and undermanned. The EDC is making these plans, and good for the EDC, and believe me, I congratulate you on the community response that you received, but it's a county project. The county is receiving the grant, or as the grant awardee. The county is owning the building and the land. The county is going to be responsible for major maintenance of that building as the owner of the building. It's going to come off of the tax rolls, of course, so the city won't have any revenue, neither will the county. Every citizen of the city of Rockport is already paying taxes to the county, which is going to pay for the county doing all of that. On top of which, the county is going to devote $20,000 in kind toward the parking lot. Mr. Bhakta is exactly accurate that the announced plan or proto plan, because this plan changes, is that if there was need of expansion because they're only getting salary load to offer as part of this project when the county and therefore City of Rockport taxpayers are already contributing to it. Now, what the school district does is their own business. This is an educational program, and to the extent that the school district, which takes 2/3 of the tax money anyway, decides that this is a good program for them, it may make some sense. They're in the educational lane. That's what they do. I don't see that it's our charge to do it. We've supported this program as well as the marina program. I'm not talking about withdrawing that support. I'm just saying we're not in a position to offer in-kind services in order to promote it, and our taxpayers are already paying for it.